Hey, what's up, everybody? Our friend Jacob from World Food Adventures has emailed me and he said, "Hey, listen, I dumped the channel. It's not going how I thought it would go, and we're going to change what we're going to do. And we're going to do kind of like, info videos." He described it kind of like FTD facts, kind of. And he wanted some of my input about India, and I'll give that to him. But he wants to do these videos about kind of giving you information in 3 minutes or less, right? And he said, "Here's a new page. Take a look at some videos, and just react to them when you can." So I'll react to them once a week. And this one is the history of the Spanish flu, 1918, in 3 minutes, the world's deadliest pandemic. And then I have a lot to say about this because I actually know about this because I'm the professor, and I'm going to drop some knowledge on you kids that you're going to be surprised. So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
With the COVID-19 pandemic happening in the world, I think it's the perfect time to learn about the deadliest pandemic in history that infected over 500 million people around the world, the Spanish flu of 1918. The origins of the Spanish flu are hard to trace because medical records weren't very accurate at the beginning of the 20th century. Some say it came from France, some believe it was China, and others insist it could have come from Great Britain. Nevertheless, the first recorded case emerged in the spring of 1918 when a mess cook in the United States Army, stationed at Fort Riley in Kansas, went to the infirmary with a high fever. Not long after that, more than 100 people at the base were complaining about flu-like symptoms similar to the cook's. That, unfortunately, sounds very familiar. No one had any idea that these seemingly normal flu symptoms were just part of the first wave of something many times deadlier, so the army shipped off all of those soldiers to the Western Front in Europe to fight in World War I. There, the virus spread like wildfire through the troops on the front lines, infecting thousands in many European countries. By the summer of 1918, the number of infections had died down and no one was worrying about it because at that time, it didn't seem much different to the regular seasonal flu. But by August, the virus mutated and became far more deadly, starting what would eventually become the deadliest pandemic in history. The second wave of the virus spread rapidly and people from all across the Americas, Europe, and Asia started dying by the thousands. People infected would develop dangerously high fevers and shortness of breath, among other symptoms, and in many cases, patients died less than 24 hours after contracting the virus. Many of the people who died experienced not only horrible nasal hemorrhaging, but their own body fluids flooded their lungs, which caused them to drown. The symptoms were apparently so bad that some doctors who did autopsies on the Spanish flu patients said that their lungs looked like they experienced chemical warfare. That's insane. A big part of the reason so many people were dying was because medical technology back then was nowhere near as advanced as it is today, so doctors didn't know how to treat the virus, and they were unknowingly giving horrible medical advice, like telling people to take 30 grams of aspirin every day, when the recommendation today is just 4 grams. Because of that advice, thousands died from aspirin poisoning rather than the actual virus. Another shocking thing about the Spanish flu was who it affected the most. Young people between the ages of 20 and 40 were some of the most susceptible to the virus. You see, people of the older generations had lived through other smaller outbreaks of flu in the past, and thus their bodies were better equipped with antibodies to be able to fight the virus, but not the young. In fact, the virus had such a huge effect on young people that in the United States alone, the average life expectancy dropped from 51 in 1917 to just 39 in 1918. Life expectancy dropped 12 years in just 1 year of the pandemic. I really hope this will never ever happen again. Because of this, people lived in fear of catching the virus every day because for many it was essentially a death sentence. They didn't know what to do and couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Luckily though, there was a light and the pandemic ended by the summer of 1919 simply because those who had gotten infected either died or developed an immunity to the virus. It's also believed that the virus mutated again into something a lot more mild that most people could fight off. In total, the Spanish flu infected around 1/3 of the world's population and it reached the 4 corners of the earth. From large cities to remote islands, there were very few places the virus didn't travel to. Even though 1/3 of the world's population was infected, the total death count is difficult to measure, but it's estimated that anywhere from 20 to 100 million people died in just the 2 short years the virus was around. I really hope that you are staying safe wherever you are in the world right now, and let's make sure we all do our part to close this chapter in our history safely and move on from this together.
Good video, Jacob. I like it. I was working on my own video, yes. And then I thought I probably shouldn't because you don't want the community strikes, right? Community strikes are a big deal. So what I will tell you is when I was researching for my own video of this that is private, I found an article from National Geographic. How many of you guys have heard of National Geographic, right? This isn't some crazy Joe Bob's, blog post. This isn't an Alex Jones episode. I mean, National Geographic's pretty standard, and they were saying in this article about the Spanish flu that they really think there's a lot of evidence to point to that this came from China. And the reason that it spread so fast and so far is that Chinese were kind of immune to it, because they kind of just had it. And they went out throughout the world to go build the railways, right? And so they went out, and so they took this flu with them to places that it never would have gotten. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? So I mean, you're talking about, if that National Geographic story is true, you're talking about every major flu pandemic, that you can think of, things like SARS and swine flu and bird flu and all these different things, came from China. Just saying. Makes you wonder, like, why is that? It's not in Germany. It's not in India. It's not like, there's we don't have anything called the Indian flu or the Hindu flu or the Wyzag flu. You don't have that. I mean, it's just China. What's the correlation? I don't know. I'm guessing probably conditions. India is, fairly vegetarian. So I don't think you have that ability to jump from animal to human as much. There's not that big of a slaughter house. Where we know in China, they eat things that we typically would not do. They eat things that would be illegal, like in America. And it's not to be anti-Chinese, it's just their culture. That's like kosher for the Jews. They have certain things that they will not eat and will not eat. And you read the book of Leviticus, there's a lot of stuff that in the book of Leviticus says, do not eat this. And it's not that because God is trying to be mean to everybody and deny them of some delicacy. It's because they carry disease, and it's easy for it to jump from the animal to the human as you're slaughtering the animal, cooking the animal, and getting its fluids on you. So, good video. I enjoyed the video, and let me know what you guys think of the new format. We'll be reacting to it once a week. Next one, I'll probably have the Warrior Queen with me. I'll catch you guys later. Peace and much love.
Hey, this is Sonal. Please like and subscribe to Movie Community College, and do check out my channel, The String Theory, for some amazing sitar videos.